Hi friends! Today we're going to go over theory for chapter 1. Just a heads up, while I'm doing these theory videos, what I underline as blue is just important information that I think you should know. And what is highlighted in orange is going to be information that's going to show up on your test. So just keep that in mind as we go through theory videos in the future. Switch our color back to blue. And let's go down to our first page. So, introducing to cosmetology. The term cosmetology includes a wide range of things. So it includes hairstyling, nail technology, and aesthetics. Now, hair design is a fairly new thing, and I'm sorry for my handwriting. It only encompasses hairstyling and chemicals. Alright, so just keep that in mind. Hair designers can't perform aesthetic services or nail services, but Cosmos can. Alright, so highlight right here, it says cosmetology is defined as the art and science of beautifying and improving the skin, nails, and the hair, and includes the study of cosmetics and their application. The term comes from the Greek word kosmetikos, meaning skilled in the use of cosmetics. Archaeological studies reveal that haircutting and hairstyling were practiced in some form as early as the Ice Age. So when they recovered bodies that have been preserved, they discovered that they did style their hair. This next highlighted part, it says animal sinew or strips of hide were used to tie the hair back or as adornment. Alright. Then we're going to go to why study cosmetology, history, and career opportunities. We're going to highlight this first part. It says cosmetologists should study and have a thorough understanding of the history of cosmetology and career opportunities available because many old methods have been evolved into techniques still used today. Another thing that's important of why we study this is because trends repeat themselves, if you can see right here. So, for example, balayage. Everybody knows what balayage is, and they love it. They want it. It is an old trend. It's not anything new that's come around. So, keep it in mind as you look at fashion, too. Fashion tends to recycle itself a lot, and you'll hear people say, oh, I used to wear that when I was in school. So, weird thing. Let's go to the first page under Understand the History of Cosmetology. The first part is the Africans, one of the oldest civilizations. It says, African civilization has had a variety of hairstyles, and they were used as a symbol of tribal traditions and conveyed a message of age, marital status, power, and rank. So, different tribes did have different traditions and hairstyles and colors that they used to represent different things, so keep that in mind. They were not all the same. Let's go to the Egyptians. Concurrently, in North Africa, the Egyptians were the first to cultivate beauty in an extravagant fashion. They used cosmetics as part of their personal beautification habits, religious ceremonies, and preparation for the deceased for burial. Another thing that they used to do is they used to line their eyes with green for religious ceremonies. Fun fact. Queen Cleopatra took this dedication to beauty to an entirely new level by creating a personal cosmetics factory next to the Dead Sea. Ancient Egyptians are also credited with creating kohl makeup, originally made from a mixture of ground galena, a black mineral, sulfur, and animal fat to heavily line the eyes, alleviate eye inflammation, and protect the eyes from the glare of the sun. And you still see stuff like this today, because football players, they'll put the black under their eyes to help with the glare of the sun when they're playing a game. Alright. We're going to skip down to the Chinese. So they had a fun fact about the Chinese. They used to have like nail coverings, those cool long claws that you'll see people wear for Halloween nowadays. But they had these little claw covers or rings that would go over their fingers to protect their nails. We're going to talk about what's highlighted right here. It says, throughout the Zhou dynasty, also known as the Chou dynasty, gold and silver were the royal colors. Also, if you were caught wearing you were caught wearing these colors, you get put to death. So they took it pretty seriously. Let's talk about the Greeks. They were very into skincare and they loved perfumes. They had a lot of bougie practices for their makeup. One thing that was not great is that they used lead on their faces, which I think we know at this point that it's very toxic. So another thing that I want to talk about is what's highlighted. It says vermilion is a brilliant red pigment made by grinding cinnabar. This is a mineral that is the chief source of mercury, which is very also toxic, just like lead, into a fine powder. And they would use it for like blush and lipstick then. So they weren't using the healthiest materials, but it's fine. Let's go down to the Romans. They also were very into skincare like the Greeks were. And they were super into facials. They made a lot of facials and face masks. Another thing that the Romans did is women would indicate their hair, they would use their hair color to indicate their class in society. So right here, what's highlighted, I'm so sorry guys. Noble women would tint their hair red, middle class women colored their hair blonde, and poor women dyed their hair black. Alright, let's go to the Middle Ages. This is kind of like a dead zone for beauty. Minus fashion and clothing were very important, but for makeup and hair, a lot of women covered their hair, and the makeup was kind of like frowned upon to wear during this period. So they would color their lips and cheeks, but tried to keep it very natural. And then let's talk about what's highlighted under medieval. It says, around AD 1000, a Persian physician, an alchemist named Avicenna, refined the process of steam distillation. And we still use steam distillation to make essential oils. The Renaissance is when beauty started to pick back up again in time. They did have some weird practices, but art was very important during the Renaissance period. Where it says highlighted, it says, this is the period in history in which Western civilization made the transition from medieval to modern history. Skip that next sentence and let's talk about the next highlighted part. It says, one of the most unusual practices was the shaving of the eyebrows and the hairline to show a greater expanse of the forehead. A browless forehead was thought to give women a look of greater intelligence. So they thought it would make their head look bigger, therefore having a bigger brain. Super cool, I know. Great. Another thing is, men started wearing heels during this period, and that's where high heels started coming up a little bit more. There we go. Sorry, friends. Alright, let's go into the Victorian age. The reign of Queen Victoria of England between 1837 and 1901 was known as the Victorian Age. Skip down. So the Victorian Age was considered a very restrictive time period. It was frowned upon to wear makeup. And so you'd have to go to secret makeup shops to buy like a blush or a lipstick, any face powder. But if people could tell you were wearing makeup, it was very frowned upon. It was very taboo to do that. In this last part, it says, Victorian women are said to have pinched their cheeks and bitten their lips to induce natural color, rather than use cosmetics such as rouge or lip color. In the 20th century, the invention of motion pictures coincided with an abrupt shift in American attitudes. As viewers saw pictures of celebrities with flawless complexions, beautiful hairstyles, and manicured nails, standards of feminine beauty began to change. So this is when people started copying celebrities. Down at the bottom it says, beauty applications began to follow the trends set by celebrities and society figures. And this next one, where it says 1901 to 1910. In 1904, Max Factor immigrated from Lodz, Poland to the United States. By 1908, he had Americanized his name to Max Factor and moved to Los Angeles, where he began making and selling makeup. So his makeup was super popular with celebrities because it wouldn't crack under hot studio lights because it was very hot and it wouldn't crack or sweat off. It was super crazy. Everybody loved it and they swore by it. Alright. Moving down to this part where it says, after World War I, when women cut their hair into short bob style, the crokinole wrapping technique was introduced. In this method, shorter hair was wound from the ends towards the scalp, which we still use this technique today. And then right here, sorry guys, I keep messing with the pages. Right here it says, one of the most notable success stories of the cosmetology industry is that of Sarah Breedlove. She was the daughter of former slaves and was orphaned at age 7 when she went to work in the cotton fields of Mississippi Delta. In 1906, Sarah married her third husband, C.J. Walker, and became known as Madam C.J. Walker, and that's a huge name. So what she did is she made these homemade remedies for hair loss, and she began selling it and created a company called Madam C.J. Walker's Wonderful Hair Grower. Eventually, she turned it into this huge industry, this huge company. She had a factory, salon, and a school, and she had just had this massive empire that was dedicated towards African American hair care. Right here, this next highlighted part, it says, by the time of her death, she had established herself as a pioneer in the modern African American hair care and cosmetics industry. In 1872, Marcel Gratteau invented the first curling iron. They were tongs heated by a gas burner, or they would metal tongs that you would put in like a little oven to heat them up and then curl your hair with them. Later, around 1923, he created an electric version. So the irons that you guys get in your kits, those are Marcel irons. That's what we call them, Marcel irons. Alright, moving down to the next page. 1930s. In 1931, the preheat perm method was introduced. First, hair was wrapped using the crokinole method. Sorry, I just stopped right there. So they first started using the crokinole method to wrap hair, and if you notice this super comfortable looking machine right there, some people died on that machine because it would short out, it would cause a fire, and it would electrocute them. Pretty sketchy. This next part right here, it says in 1932, nearly 4,000 years after the first recorded nail color craze, Charles Revson of Revlon fame marketed the first nail polish. So before they would just use products that would stain their nails. Like henna was very popular to use to stain their nails. Let's see. Right here, it says the early screen sirens Jean Harlow and Gloria Swanson glamorized this hip new nail fashion in silent pictures and early talkies by appearing in films wearing matching polish on their fingers and toes. Also, in 1932, Lawrence Gelb, a New York chemist, introduced the first permanent hair color product and founded a company called Clairol. Now, Clairol is a huge company. You've probably heard of brands like Wella or Sebastian. And they are owned by Clairol. Massive, massive company. Alright. In 1941, scientists developed another method of permanent waving that used waving lotion. Because this perm did not use heat, it was also called a cold wave. So people didn't have to use that scary machine anymore. Modern versions of the cold wave, I'm reading right here, are usually referred to alkaline perms, and they're very popular today. And of course they're coming back in style. All the high school boys want a perm again. Moving on to 1951 and 2000s, we're going to talk about this highlighted part right here. In 1970, saw a new era in highlighting when French hairdressers introduced the art of hair weaving in aluminum foil. It's crazy that this started in the 50s and it's still a huge popular thing that we do today. Highlighting is so important to the hair industry. Alright, we're down here to this part. In 1985, hairdresser Farouk Shami, led by his passion for his craft and the environment, revolutionized the beauty industry by inventing the world's first ammonia-free hair color. So most hair color contains ammonia, and that's how we get your hair to color. It's the key ingredient in there. And he created an ammonia-free one, which was less harsh on your hair. Alright, in the 21st century, this lovely little highlighted part right here, since the late 1980s, the salon industry has evolved to include day spas. This is a name that was first coined by the beauty legend Noel DiCaprio. So day spas, this is when pedicures and all that spa stuff started becoming really popular. Alright, so let's talk about careers. We're kind of shifting into career sides of what you can do with your cosmetology or hair design license. What is the most important thing to our industry is continuing education. So highlighting right here, it says continuing education is important to your career's future, and it holds the key to individual development and personal motivation. It gives you knowledge and confidence and also provides you the best opportunity to advance your career and achieve real success. Again, like I said earlier, trends recycle constantly. I'll use myself as an example. When I was in school, balayage wasn't very trendy at the time. It was all about ombres. And so I learned how to do ombres. But as soon as I finished school, balayage started coming up as a trend again, and I didn't know how to do it. So I had to go take classes to learn how to do balayage. And I'm grateful I do now because I can offer it as a service, and that's what's the trendy thing to do right now. So taking classes when you are done with school's not, once you graduate school doesn't mean you're a perfect hairdresser. You got to keep improving and keep taking classes. All right. We're going to talk about career paths. So you don't need to highlight these ones on this page, but let's just talk about it. So that you can be a hair color specialist, where your whole clientele is just hair color focused. And you can do creative colors, you can do super beautiful single colors. It's just, that's your specialty, that's where all your training is, and that's what your whole clientele. You can be a texture specialist, which is very lucrative to work with just textured hair. That's all you do. You only work with textured hair, and it's a very important thing to learn, and you can specialize in this skill. You have hair cutting specialists, which is similar to the other two. Hair cutting's your thing. That's all you do is hair cutting. We're going to skip these right here. You can go ahead and highlight some of these on this timeline right here before we jump further in. So right here, throughout the Chinese dynasty, gold and silver were royal colors. This is going to be kind of a review on your timeline of what we've already talked about. So 1872, this is Marcel iron, the first iron was invented. 1908, Max Factor's makeup. 1910, Madam C.J. Walker. And then your cold wave in 1941, your perms without the scary machine. Now, something else that's super important that is not highlighted, it's not in a test, but I think it's good for you guys to know, is in 1960, Vidal Sassoon turned the hairstyling world around with geometric cuts. So before, everybody kind of just got roller sets and they got the same haircut, and that was it. And Vidal Sassoon came around and had these beautiful, super geometric, low maintenance haircuts, and he's actually the one who invented the A-line. So I'm going to write a note right that. Sorry about my handwriting, guys. Alright. Moving down to the next timeline thing. Again, it's another review of what we talked about, but it's good to know. So in 50 BC, Cleopatra made a cosmetics factory. And then we have the Persian physician, Avicenna, that did steam distillation. We have the preheat perm method in 1931. And then right here, nail polish, and then permanent hair color. So we invented Clairol. Then we have highlighting in 1970. Ammonia-free hair color in 1985. Okay, so continuing talking about careers. There are salon trainers. So you can become a salon trainer. And your job is to educate other people. So kind of like an instructor, but what you do is you travel salon to salon and you educate them. You teach them new skills, new tricks, stuff like that. The one that I do want you to highlight is the distributor sales consultant. The salon industry depends heavily on its relationships with product distributors in order to stay abreast of what's occurring in the marketplace. Distributor sales consultants provide information about new products, new trends, and new techniques. So they're up to date on all the new trendy things that are going on, the new products, all of that jazz. And their job is to go teach people how to do those new trends or use the new products. There is manufacturer educator. Oh my gosh. So they train stylists in salon to understand the use of their company's hair care, color, and chemical products. They train people on products, kind of similar to our distributor sales consultant. You have your artistic director. They establish the standard for a salon or manufacturer's image, so they're in charge of it all. Okay? Your education director. This role is considered an integral part of the business. An education director is the liaison between brand and hairdresser. They set the company's standards by creating education that drives sales. So again, another education-driven position, and they're kind of in charge of educators too. Typically, you'll only see cosmetologists with 5 or more years of experience in this position. Somebody who's been around for a while. And here's the best job. Wow. Cosmetology instructor. So just like what I'm doing right now, you can be an instructor too. Your careers aren't limited to being behind the chair. There's so many things you can do with your license. So an instructor, what I'm doing now, is you teach new cosmetologists just entering the workforce. You give them the basics and the fundamental, the foundation. What's the word I'm looking for? To start their hair journey. You have your film, theatrical, or editorial stylist. Now this field, as fun as it is insanely competitive. Crazy competitive. This is where you're going to work behind the scenes of like movies, magazines, photo shoots, backstage on stuff, runway events, all that jazz. That's where this job comes in. I'm going to have you highlight this next one, creative director. This is one of the most respected and rewarding positions in the industry. Once you've established yourself as a successful hairdresser with 10 or more years of experience in all facets of hairdressing, this position can be attainable. This is like executive level position. Oh, right there. Okay, and it's the driving force behind brand success. We're going to scroll to the next page. Alright, so down here, it says, beyond choosing a specialty, you must decide on the type of facility where you will work. Many options are available. You have your specialty salons, so there can be a curly hair specific salon. You have your full service salons. This offers, we have skincare, they have nails, they have hair going on. Your photo, video, or film set, so you would be behind the scenes, working on TV, stuff like that. Or day spas, more focused about the relaxation part of the industry. Alright, then we have, in this Did You Know box, we're going to highlight right here. It says, remember your license will unlock countless doors, but it's your personal dedication and passion that ultimately determine how successful you become. You'll have to want to get those positions. It's not just going to be handed to you. You got to work for it. And that is the end of Chapter 1. Thank you for listening. And there is a Kahoots available for your upcoming test. It's Chapter 1 through 4. The tests are combined. Feel free to go through it and kind of practice taking the test. Also, submit your bookwork for this chapter online on Canvas if possible, or show me in person when you come to class. Alright guys, thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon.